Hi, I'm Steven the Pet Man from Big Apple Pet Supply. I'm going to talk to you today about heat mats, and specifically Intellitemp heat mats. They've been tried and true for many years at Big Apple Pet Supply, and we've sold thousands of them. It is probably my favorite reptile mat on the market. The quality is fantastic. It's encased, the elements are encased in a heavy-duty plastic, almost like baby bottle material. They are flexible, but they're not designed for you to fold over and allow to heat. You do have to keep them full out like this. They are infrared heat, and like heat mats in general, they are designed to heat the belly of the reptile. They're used a lot with snakes, and they are, of course, used with lizards often as well. They will do a bit of heating for your ambient air temperature, and what I mean by that is they will heat the air inside your enclosure. They won't heat it as well as something like a ceramic heat emitter, but they will help. So the main design, though, is belly heat. So once they eat, they like to go lay on top of a heat mat, and it will help them digest their meal. Now, the Intellitemp heat mat comes in 4 sizes. It comes in 9.8 by 5.9, which is this size. And then we have other sizes that graduate larger, 13.8 by 7.9, 19.7 by 11.8, and 23.5 by 15 3/4. So they get quite big. I mean, we have one of the biggest heat mats on the market at an extremely affordable price. So the thing is, what people always ask here is what size for what enclosure. And the formulation is pretty simple. At the basic range that you want to go from is 30% of the bottom of the enclosure to a maximum of 50%, because you do want to give space for the reptile to get off of the mat and into a cooler area so that it can properly thermoregulate. So I'm just going to show, for example, we have a unit that's about 15 inches here, and I would use the smallest heat mat, the 9.8 by 5.9, and I wouldn't even take it this way because you're going to go too far. I would take it out the back. So you literally would get about 35% of the enclosure bottom, but the reptile has plenty of room to get to the other side. In this instance, our blood red corn snake, our office pet. So that's how you would utilize this. I just want to talk to you about how hot these get. Typically, they can get 15 to 20 degrees above ambient air temperature. So if it's, what I mean is if it's 70 in a room, it probably will get somewhere around 90 degrees. So it's very reptile related. If you're keeping yourself at 75, you're probably going to get, again, somewhere around 95 degrees. But it does vary a little bit based on the construction of your enclosure, what it's made of. There are other variables. So it can get much hotter than that. So what you need to do when you place this on the bottom of your mat or cage is you need to make sure that you check the temperature directly above the heat mat. So if this is laying on top or underneath the cage, you want to put it inside the cage right above the heat mat and test that temperature. If it's getting too hot, you need to control this with either a rheostat dimmer, or what we recommend is a thermostat like the BAH 1000. That will control it and keep the temperature from getting too hot. If you use a thermostat, the probe would go on the inside of the cage directly above the mat, and that will tell the thermostat when to switch this on and off as needed. One thing you don't want to do is have your reptile get a thermal burn because you didn't properly check the temperature of your heat mat. So, a couple other questions that customers always ask about substrate on top of this, and I mean bedding, whether you use Repti-Bark or aspen bedding or whatever you choose to use. The thickness of the substrate is important because the more substrate you put on top of the heat mat, the hotter the mat will become because the heat collectively gets hotter. If it has nowhere to escape, it's going to get hotter and hotter, so you need to know what is going on below that substrate. So again, higher the bedding, the more heat, so be careful. The other question is that people want to know if you can set it to different temperatures. You certainly can. On your thermostat, you can definitely adjust it up or down, just like any other type of heating item. And this is basically what these heat mats will do for your enclosure as far as heating, as far as the sizing that you need to select. And they are good with almost every type of reptile out there. And again, because they're infrared heat, the Reptile can really make great use of these. I really love these heat mats. Again, they are my favorite in the industry because they don't run too hot to begin with, and because they've been so reliable, and we've been selling them for many, many years. They are available in our heating section, in our heat mats department, and I'm Steven the Pet Man, and I thank you for watching.